welcome back to our book talk segment of the program. Great to welcome today a woman who's written a very interesting book and a helpful book as well that deals a lot with neighborhoods and how they can be revitalized, and she has done it. The book is called Reclaiming Your Community. You don't have to move out of your neighborhood to live in a better one. We're joined today by Majora Carter. She's a real estate developer, urban revitalization strategy consultant, and a very talented woman in her own right. She's also done radio, so maybe we'll find out a little bit about that as well. She joined us by telephone today. And Majora Carter, good to talk with you. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Doug. I'm great.
Yeah, good to have a chance to talk to a fellow New Yorker. I was born in Brooklyn, but grew up in Long Island. But I know you grew up in the South Bronx, so you were really part of the city. I was just outside it.
Yep, but I'm still here, too. So
you're still there. That's kind of the point of the book a little bit, because you talk about, and you've done a lot of these projects about kind of keeping, the neighborhoods going. And the theme of the book, at least from what I gathered reading it, is, you want to, people, if they want to revitalize their own neighborhood, you got to keep people there to do it, right? You can't rely on outsiders to do it for you.
Exactly. We have to kind of think about where do, communities that are born in, people that are born and bred in communities like the one I grew up in, where do they spend their money, and basically helping people see that if they spent their money in their own communities, we could actually help revitalize them from the inside out.
And every city has this issue. I mean, we have it here in Sarasota. There's, certain neighborhoods that are doing a good job of it in partially, but other areas that just, you look at it and you say, why can't things be done? So it's not just New York we're talking about, but, here in Florida, in the Midwest, everywhere, right?
Right, and it's not just cities either. I mean, there are Native American reservations, there are former, all white, whether it's coal mining towns or, other kind of Rust Belt towns where there's no more industry there anymore that produces the jobs. I mean, those are the kind of places, where it's just that people are led to believe that the poverty that exists there, it's a cultural attribute. And yes, there's money to be made by maintaining it in the form of concentrated government subsidized affordable housing, rental housing in particular, community centers, health clinics, and pharmacies like that. But what we discovered, through the kind of research on our own that we started before we started developing here, is that people in our own communities, will leave our communities to experience the kind of lifestyle that makes them feel better about the community that they're in. Things like cafes and restaurants, parks and bookstores, and things that meet, those other expectations, so that we want to have people there so they can express themselves and meet other people like them.
Yeah, you make a good point there, and you talk about it in the book. You put some businesses together. I think one was a cafe that you just mentioned right there. It can't be just, like you said, a health clinic. That's fine. It's great. We all need that, but you need the people in the area to feel comfortable, or at least inspired to create a business and try and make it work, right? And you need several businesses to kind of create a reason for people to shop somewhere. Precisely.
And so reclaiming here means that we don't measure success by how far we get away from our own communities, because it involves retaining the talent that's already there to improve those surroundings and for our own economic future. It is about recognizing that there's always been talent and value in those quote unquote marginalized communities, and that we could and should aspire to create a future that is economically, emotionally, and also spiritually meaningful to ourselves.
Unfortunately, that's the hard sell, right? I mean, you talk about that in the book as well. It hasn't been easy for you to do any of these projects, but you have to get people, I guess, first of all, to listen or believe that it's possible, right? Before you can move to the next step.
Yeah, right. But that's the beautiful part. I mean, yes, it is hard, and it can be. It's like, I spent lots of time and money doing these things, but also the benefit of it is just when you get to see how, when the light, literally like the proverbial light bulb goes on over people's heads when they're wondering, like, why do I always have to leave my community in order to experience something great? So us building the cafe that we did, the Boogie Down Grind, which is just sort of like an homage to hip hop, which is a part of, the South Bronx in the birthplace of that. But what it really did do was provide a place for people, to come and show their best selves. I mean, I don't think many people even understood how cool their neighbors were in a bunch of ways until we would like host things like open mics and and art shows at our little cafe that would just make people go, Like, look, this is my neighbor down the street, and I didn't even know they lived here because, basically they would go outside of the community to experience those kind of things. So building them here, is the exact opposite, of gentrification. When we're which essentially means that outsiders are coming in to change a community to suit their own needs. Reclaiming it involves attaining that talent to suit the needs and aspirations of people that are already here.
Yeah, talent retention and, like you said, brain drain. I mean, you want the talented people to, even if they go away to school, maybe go away to college in another state or something, but to come back. And that's a hard thing to do, I guess, right? In some cases.
It is. And also, I mean, everybody loves that Cinderella story of people coming from, low status communities and, hard scrabble places and then going off and being somebody. But, that's why, I took an approach from the business world, which is, keep your top performers close. So talent retention as a community development strategy, which is because those Cinderella stories, and they are sometimes called brain drain, they're the ones that are taught to measure success by how far they get away from their communities. They want the same thing as anyone else. And why aren't we, creating the right kind of lifestyle infrastructure so that people feel like they can actually make those investments in our own community that allow them to feel like, what I can do this in my own neighborhood. I can be that positive role model here. Oh, I can even be, inspired by people in my own community that I didn't even know existed. And that's what's exciting to me. And we see it, the fruits of our labor, here is that, this building that little cafe that, that we did, we're watching other folks feel like, oh my goodness, like there is something, cool about my neighborhood and beautiful. And I want to be a part of it. I don't want to sell my family's home. I want to stay here. I want to build a business here. And that is, in essence, that's building the foundation of the kind of social and economic ecosystem that makes us feel like we don't have to move out of our neighborhood to live in a better one.
Yeah, you need one to work, be successful, and then success breeds success. But it's getting that first one done. That's the challenge, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But, and that's, I'm grateful, that I've, had the opportunity to be able to put myself out there and sort of basically, use my own community as my research and development lab, to show what's possible. But the cooler thing is that, I'm not alone. In some of the examples in my book, I show that other folks have been doing this, on their own, for a while around the country. And I highlight some of those examples as well. And they're from places as diverse as Cordova, Alaska,
right.
Where the Dune Lankard of the Eyak Nation is working to build, a really a big nation, native-owned, kelp manufacturing facility all over Alaska. The folks in East Oakland and East Bay Permanent Real Estate Cooperative are working to create a community-owned, literally owned, new housing and commercial development, which is awesome. And the folks in Philadelphia and Jumpstart Germantown are actually creating a whole new generation of housing developers from the local communities in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
so
that's
super
great.
Exciting.
I know we have limited time today. I just want to give the title once again, Reclaiming Your Community. You don't have to move out of your neighborhood to live in a better one. And Majora Carter has been our guest, and she wrote the book, and she knows what she's talking about. Because if you can do it in the South Bronx, like they say, you can probably do it anywhere. So, Majora, great to talk to you. Do you have a website you want to direct people to?
Absolutely. Majora Carter Group. .com, and you can also follow me on Instagram and at Majora Carter and Twitter as well.
Great. Majora, pleasure talking to you.
So
Please
much,
keep in touch for any future projects. Love to talk to you again, but thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye now.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.